Have you ever known a parent who gave everything to their children, only to feel quietly forgotten when they needed support the most? Many of us grow up believing our kids will be our retirement plan, our safety net, even our emotional anchor. But what happens when that isn't the case? What if depending too much on your children doesn't bring you peace, but instead leaves you vulnerable, frustrated, or even regretful? As we grow older, these questions become harder to ignore. We've been told that family will always be there, that our sons and daughters will step in when times get tough. But the truth is, placing the full weight of your future on your children's shoulders can create unspoken pressure, limit your personal growth, and leave you exposed if life doesn't go as planned. This video isn't about blame. It's not about guilt. It's about freedom. True, lasting freedom. We're going to walk through 8 reliable and empowering places you can lean on in your later years. Foundations that don't involve relying solely on your child's spare bedroom or your daughter's bank account. You'll learn how to build a support system that's strong from the ground up, financially, emotionally, and practically, by depending on yourself, your community, and trusted resources already available to you. Because here's the truth. You deserve to age with dignity, confidence, and freedom. And that starts by choosing carefully where you place your trust. Stay with me until the end of this video, because you may not just find a few backup plans, you might uncover a completely new approach to aging with purpose and peace of mind. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to click that button and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos that can help you live stronger and smarter as you age. Pillar 1. Your own savings and pensions. When it comes to feeling secure in your later years, one of the most dependable places to start is with what you've already built for yourself. Your savings, pension, and retirement income aren't just numbers in an account. They represent a lifetime of discipline, sacrifice, and hard work. They're a reflection of your values and your planning. Most importantly, these financial foundations allow you to maintain your independence. They give you the freedom to make decisions without having to lean heavily on your children, something that not only benefits you, but also takes pressure off your family. Your financial preparedness is a gift to yourself and a form of respect to those you love. Too many older adults fall into the silent assumption that their children will step in financially when times get tough. It's not always said out loud, but it lingers in the background. The hope that your kids will somehow cover the shortfall. But here's the honest truth. Your children are likely juggling their own lives. Mortgages, kids, debt, job pressure, it's a lot. And when you lean on them too heavily, even unintentionally, it can create a quiet tension. Sometimes that looks like resentment. Other times, it shows up as emotional distance. Either way, it's not what anyone wants. But something shifts when you take the lead in managing your own resources. You begin to make decisions based on what's right for you, not what someone else is able or willing to offer. There's a quiet power in that, a different kind of control. It's not about being in charge of others. It's about knowing you can stand on your own 2 feet, even as the years go on. And it's not just about how much money you have. It's about how wisely you use what you have. Some men in their 60s or 70s live on a modest pension, yet feel far more secure than others earning double, because they've learned to manage their money with intention. They budget, they plan, they know exactly where their money goes. Take Harold, for example. He's 82, living a quiet, comfortable life on Social Security and a small union pension. His apartment is modest. He uses public transportation. He doesn't spend on things he doesn't need. But do you know what he does have? Peace of mind. He's not relying on anyone. No one's waiting for a desperate phone call. And he's not carrying the emotional burden of wondering if his children are secretly frustrated. That's the kind of stability that self-reliance brings. When you're rooted in your own financial foundation, you preserve something precious, the space for love between you and your children. You can visit, laugh, share stories, celebrate birthdays and holidays, without that unspoken tension of, I need help with the bills. Your relationship stays clean, light, honest. Now, of course, not everyone has a large retirement account or decades of savings built up. That's okay. Even if your finances are tight, there's still so much you can do to take ownership. Understanding your benefits, cutting out unnecessary costs, making a simple budget and sticking to it. These small steps bring a powerful sense of control. Because in the end, the goal isn't wealth. The goal is freedom. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from dependence. Freedom from the silent fear of not having enough. And often, that freedom starts by working with the resources you already have, those you've earned over a lifetime. It's never too late to begin. Even in your 70s or 80s, you can sit down, review your income, and ask yourself honestly, what do I truly need? What brings me comfort? What makes me feel dignified? These aren't just financial questions, they're emotional ones. Let your spending reflect your values, not someone else's lifestyle or expectations. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much money you have, it's about how wisely, how intentionally, you manage what's yours. And here's the unexpected gift. The more you're able to stand on your own financial foundation, the more deeply confident you feel, walking into each new stage of aging with your head held high and your decisions firmly in your own hands. Pillar 2. National and local government programs. Another essential pillar of support, one that far too many older adults overlook, is the network of national and local programs specifically designed for seniors. These aren't handouts. These are benefits you've earned through a lifetime of work, paying taxes, and contributing to society. Now, in this stage of life, they exist to return the favor. From healthcare assistance and affordable housing programs to food subsidies, transportation services, and more. There is a wide range of resources available that most people don't even realize exist. But here's the problem. Too many seniors don't take full advantage of them. Why? Sometimes it's pride, sometimes it's confusion, and often it's simply a lack of awareness. That's a shame, because these programs are meant to reduce the burden on both you and your family. Let's begin with healthcare. Medicare is more than just doctor visits and prescription coverage. It also includes preventive services, wellness programs, physical and occupational therapy, and in many cases, home care options, depending on your plan and location. But these benefits don't show up automatically. You need to know what you qualify for and be proactive in asking for it. Local health departments can be a powerful resource. Many offer free or low-cost services tailored specifically for older adults, vision screenings, flu shots, chronic disease management, and even mental health support. Some have social workers who can guide you through your options, help with paperwork, or connect you with specialists. This kind of help isn't just practical, it's empowering. It gives you the tools to protect your health and maintain your independence longer. Then there's housing. If you're living in a home that feels too large, too expensive, or no longer safe, you're not alone. Many seniors face the same challenge, but few realize there are housing assistance programs available at the city, county, and federal levels. And we're not just talking about emergency shelters. These are well-planned communities built specifically for older adults, often with on-site support services, safety features like grab bars and emergency call systems, and even regular social activities to keep you engaged. These environments are designed to give you peace of mind, not just a place to live, but a place to live well. Think of David, a 75-year-old man who had been living alone in an aging rental home. The roof leaked, the heater barely worked, and every winter was a struggle. His adult children cared deeply, but lived hours away and couldn't be there daily. Eventually, David decided to explore a local senior housing program. Within just 3 months, he transitioned into a quiet, well-maintained apartment inside a senior living community. Now, someone checks on him weekly, his rent has been cut in half, and for the first time in years, he feels truly secure. Transportation is another area where government assistance can make a meaningful difference. Many counties provide door-to-door van services, discounted taxi fare programs, or shuttle buses that take seniors to medical appointments, pharmacies, or grocery stores. It might not sound glamorous, but it offers something far more valuable: independence. The ability to come and go, even without driving, helps maintain both your freedom and dignity. And let's not forget about nutrition. Food programs like Meals on Wheels or senior nutrition centers offer warm, balanced meals delivered right to your door or served in welcoming community spaces. For older men who've lost a spouse or those who find cooking more tiring than before, these meals can be a genuine lifeline. They nourish not just the body, but also the spirit, especially when shared among friendly faces. There are even programs that help cover utilities, phone bills, and essential home repairs. These might seem like small things, but they relieve financial pressure, lower stress, and give you more room to breathe in your monthly budget. More importantly, they empower you to stay in charge of your living situation without having to rely on your children or feel like a burden. Now, if all of this sounds overwhelming, don't worry. You don't have to figure it all out alone. Many communities have agencies on aging, local nonprofits, or senior advocacy centers that offer one-on-one help. They'll sit beside you, help you fill out paperwork, explain your options, and guide you through each form, step by step. The support is there. You just have to know where to look and be willing to ask. Because what truly matters isn't just saving a few dollars, it's building a structure of support around you. A structure that doesn't lean too heavily on your children's time, money, or emotional energy. Instead, it allows your family relationships to remain focused on love, connection, and joy, not financial strain. And most importantly, it reminds you that you're not facing this chapter alone. There are systems in place, real resources that exist to help you live with comfort and dignity. If you're still watching and finding this information helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss future videos. Your support helps us continue sharing valuable, empowering content that informs and inspires. Now let's move on to Pillar 3, senior-friendly communities or housing. Because where you live shapes far more than your address. It shapes your peace of mind, your safety, and your everyday happiness. The ability to thrive in your later years often starts with one of the most important choices you can make, where you live. For many older men, choosing a home that's designed specifically for this chapter of life is not just wise, it's transformational. Senior-friendly housing or retirement communities aren't just for people who need medical care. They're for people who want freedom. Freedom from stairs that strain your knees, from the quiet loneliness of an empty house, from fixing leaky faucets, and from the fear of being alone when something goes wrong. When your living space is built with your needs in mind, everything becomes easier. You're not fighting with your surroundings, you're supported by them. Wide doorways allow for easy movement. Walk-in showers prevent slips and falls. Emergency call buttons offer peace of mind. Even the way rooms are laid out, with fewer obstacles and more open flow, makes daily living more comfortable and far less stressful. All of these little design details, which might seem minor on their own, add up to something major: peace of mind. And that kind of ease? It's often underestimated until you experience it for yourself. But a supportive home isn't just about the structure. It's also about the people. Senior communities are filled with individuals who are navigating the same season of life. That creates an instant sense of familiarity. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't feel out of place. Instead of awkward small talk or generational disconnect, you find conversations that matter, shared interests, similar routines, common values. You make connections not because you have to, but because they feel real. Take Melvin, for instance. At 79, he moved into a senior apartment complex after his wife passed away. At first, he wasn't thrilled about the idea. "I don't want to be around a bunch of old people," he said. But a few months later, his tone changed. "I'm not around old people," he told me. "I'm around my people." He found friends who walk with him each morning, neighbors who invite him to watch movies in the lounge, people who simply understand without needing to say much. That kind of companionship doesn't just warm the heart, It actually supports physical health. Studies show that community reduces blood pressure, eases anxiety, and even extends life expectancy. This isn't just comfort, it's a prescription for better aging. And here's something else to consider. When you live in a space designed with seniors in mind, your adult children no longer feel the pressure to check in constantly just to make sure you're okay. Why? Because you're not alone. You're surrounded by neighbors who care, people who notice if you haven't been out for your morning coffee, who gently knock on your door to check in, who reach out not because they're obligated, but because they genuinely care. Many of these communities also offer amenities that make life easier and more fulfilling: group outings, transportation to appointments, wellness programs, and access to on-site care when it's needed. It's the perfect blend. Independence when you want it, support when you need it. That balance allows you to keep living life on your own terms, confident, safe, and surrounded by people who understand your journey. You don't have to wait until a crisis hits to start thinking about senior-friendly housing. In fact, the wisest time to consider this move is while you're still active, mobile, and fully capable of making your own decisions. That way, you get to choose where you live, how you live, and who surrounds you, not someone else making the call in a moment of emergency. It's about staying in control of your life before circumstances start to dictate your options. And let's be honest, too often, pride holds people back. There's a misconception that moving into a retirement community means you're giving up, that it somehow signals weakness or surrender. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Making the proactive choice to move into a space designed for your current and future needs isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. It's a way of honoring the life you've built and making sure your next chapter unfolds with ease, not stress. It's not about giving up independence, it's about protecting it, so that you're not forced to lean on your children in ways that could unintentionally strain the relationship. Because, let's face it, senior-friendly housing is about far more than just grab bars in the bathroom or a ramp at the front door. It's about designing a lifestyle that makes sense for this season of life. A lifestyle that preserves your dignity, protects your safety, and surrounds you with a community that truly understands what aging with grace really looks like. You deserve a home that doesn't just keep you safe, but one that supports the kind of life you still want to live. Making that decision now, before you need to, could be one of the most loving, thoughtful things you ever do for yourself and for your children. Pillar 4. Trustworthy friends and peers. As we get older, many people fall into the belief that family, especially our children, should naturally become our main support system. And while that might sound reasonable, here's a truth that too many men discover only after the fact. It's not always your children who walk beside you through the everyday moments of aging. It's often your friends. Think about it. It's the guys you've played cards with for years, the neighbor who always waves as he passes by, the friend who calls every so often just to ask how your back is doing. These connections may seem casual on the surface, but they're rooted in something far deeper: shared memories, mutual respect, and a quiet understanding of what this stage of life feels like. Friendships in later life aren't based on convenience anymore. They're forged through time, through loyalty, and through an unspoken bond that forms when you've both seen the highs and lows of life. And when you nurture those relationships with intention, they often become one of your most dependable forms of emotional and practical support. Because here's something important. Friends often notice things before family does. They know if you've stopped showing up to Saturday breakfast. They can hear when your laugh sounds a little off. They sense when something isn't quite right. And unlike your kids, who might live far away or be caught up in the chaos of their own lives, your friends are close enough to check in without it becoming a big ordeal. Never underestimate the value of having just 2 or 3 solid, trustworthy people in your life. You don't need a dozen acquaintances. You need a few who truly show up. People who mean it when they ask, "How are you doing?" and who actually wait to hear the answer. Those friendships, built over time and cared for with consistency, are the kind of safety net that no retirement account can replace. Show up when they say they will. They don't need to fill every silence or offer grand gestures. Sometimes they just sit with you, quietly, comfortably, no explanations needed. Bill, now 78, lost his wife and continued living in the same neighborhood where they'd spent decades together. His kids were scattered across the country, busy with their own lives. But what got him through the toughest moments wasn't family. It was two old fishing buddies who knew when to knock, when to drop off groceries after his surgery, and when to simply sit beside him during the long, gray winter months. They didn't label it caregiving. They didn't make it awkward. They called it what it was: friendship. And that's the real beauty of it. In many ways, friendships in later life are more effortless than family ties. There's less guilt, fewer unspoken obligations, and in that open space, kindness flows more naturally. These aren't the relationships that demand constant explanation. They're the ones that offer quiet companionship, without conditions. But here's something important to remember. These friendships don't always just happen. You have to open the door to them. You have to make the effort. That might mean joining a morning walking group at the park, saying yes to a lunch invite, even on the days when you don't quite feel like talking, or being the one to pick up the phone first. Sometimes, you just need to show up, even when staying home feels easier, because what you're creating is far more than just social interaction. You're building a circle of strength, a net woven with shared stories, simple moments, and the quiet promise that you're not walking this road alone. And here's something many people overlook. Your children want you to have these friendships. It takes pressure off of them. It gives them peace of mind, knowing you're not isolated or emotionally alone. They want to see you engaged, supported, connected, not just waiting for a call. It allows them to step into their role as your children with love, not with obligation, because they know you're surrounded by others who care. In return, you get something priceless: companionship that isn't about advice or solutions, but about shared understanding. You laugh together about the aches and forgetfulness. You sit together through the quiet days, and you hold space for one another during moments of grief and joy. This kind of friendship doesn't require performance. It simply asks you to be there, present and real. When you make space for those relationships, you're creating something your children, no matter how loving, simply cannot replace: a sense of mutuality, of shared pace and perspective. You're building a rhythm of support with people who are walking the same path, at the same speed, and who choose to walk beside you, not because they have to, but because they truly want to. If you're still watching and finding these reflections meaningful, please leave a comment below with the number 4 to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the bell so you never miss another video. Your support means a great deal and helps us continue creating thoughtful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's continue with Pillar 5, professional services. In today's world, where many older adults are juggling a mix of health concerns, financial decisions, and emotional transitions, leaning on trained professionals isn't a sign of weakness, it's a mark of wisdom. Whether it's a doctor, therapist, financial advisor, caregiver, or legal consultant, these experts exist for a reason. They've spent years learning how to support people facing exactly the kinds of challenges you may be experiencing right now. And perhaps even more importantly, they can offer that guidance without the emotional tangle that often comes with family dynamics. Yet, so many older men hesitate to reach out. Why? Because they've spent their whole lives solving problems on their own. They take pride in being self-reliant, in pushing through, in figuring things out without help. But here's the truth. While that mindset might have served you well in your younger years, it can quietly turn into a trap as you age. It can make you wait too long to ask for help, and by the time you do, the situation may have grown beyond your control, leaving your children or loved ones to pick up the pieces. But working with a professional isn't just about fixing something that's broken. It's about gaining options, real, practical options. It's about buying clarity and peace of mind. You're not just paying for advice, you're investing in control over your own life. Take Paul, a 72-year-old retired postal worker. For years, he struggled to manage his taxes and investments on his own. He was doing his best, but always felt uncertain. Finally, he decided to meet with a financial advisor. Together, they reorganized his savings, eliminated unnecessary expenses, and mapped out a plan for long-term care. Paul said it was the first time he felt ready, not just financially, but mentally, for the next decade. Not because he suddenly had more money, but because he had more understanding. And this doesn't apply only to money. Think about your health. A trusted primary care physician, a specialist in aging, or a physical therapist. These professionals don't just treat illness, they help prevent it. They understand what aging looks like in the body. They catch early signs you might miss. They help you maintain mobility, energy, and quality of life before anything breaks down. The same is true for emotional health. So many older men carry quiet burdens, grief that was never spoken, regrets that linger, memories that ache. And because they've always been the strong one, they've rarely had space to talk about it. That's where a counselor or therapist becomes essential, not to judge or fix, but to listen, reflect, and help you release what you've been carrying for far too long. And when it comes to everyday living, getting dressed, preparing meals, managing medications, there's no shame in hiring help. In fact, it's one of the smartest moves you can make to maintain your independence. A professional caregiver can step in where you need support without compromising your dignity or forcing your children into roles they aren't ready or able to fill. Letting professionals into your life doesn't mean you're losing control. It means you're taking control in a thoughtful, proactive way. And that simple act can bring more confidence, more freedom, and more ease into your later years. A professional caregiver can offer support in a way that honors your dignity. These are individuals who are trained, experienced, and calm under pressure. They don't make you feel like a burden, and they certainly don't carry the emotional expectations that can come with asking your children for help. This kind of assistance is rooted in professionalism, not guilt. And that matters, because you deserve to be helped in a way that respects your independence and protects your pride. Yes, it's true that professional services often come with a price tag, but what many people fail to consider is the hidden cost of not getting help. Ignoring your needs today can lead to much bigger problems tomorrow, physically, emotionally, and financially. A small issue left unchecked can quietly snowball into a crisis that's harder, more expensive, and more painful to solve. In many cases, prevention isn't just cheaper, it's a gift you give to yourself and your loved ones. Professional support doesn't replace the love your family has for you, it enhances it. When you allow trained experts to handle the logistics, your children don't have to become your financial manager, your nurse, or your emotional caretaker. They can stay in the role they were meant to play, your children. They get to visit, laugh with you, share memories, and simply enjoy your company without the weight of responsibility hanging over every interaction. And you remain in control. You're the one making the calls, setting the tone, and steering the ship. Instead of being swept up by circumstances, you're leading with intention. There's a kind of strength in being able to say, "I've got this covered." After all the years you spent working, raising a family, and contributing to the world, you've earned the right to structure this chapter of life with care, with clarity, and with support that works for you. Because peace of mind, true peace of mind, isn't something that just shows up. It's something you build piece by piece with every thoughtful decision you make. Now, let's move on to Pillar 6, local volunteer support groups. When we talk about community in older age, most people imagine family gatherings or maybe chatting with neighbors across the fence. But as we grow older, some of the most meaningful forms of support don't come from relatives or lifelong friends. They come from shared purpose and mutual understanding. That's where local volunteer circles and senior support groups become truly powerful. These aren't just social clubs or hobby groups. They are grounding spaces, places where you don't have to explain yourself, defend your aches and pains, or feel out of place. In these settings, people get it. No one blinks when you mention that you forgot your keys again. No one judges the slower pace of your walk. Instead, there's a quiet bond of solidarity, built not just on age, but on empathy. Whether it is a support group for grieving spouses, a weekly meetup at the community center, or a volunteer team that knits blankets for hospitals, these circles offer more than companionship. They offer belonging. They give you a reason to get out of the house, to be seen, to contribute, and to connect. And sometimes, that's exactly the medicine your spirit needs. Even something as simple as a walking group for retired men can breathe new life into your daily routine. These kinds of gatherings restore something many older adults quietly lose over time, a true sense of belonging. And that feeling of connection? It nourishes the soul in ways no medication ever could. Take Joseph, a 76-year-old widower who joined a volunteer team that builds access ramps for other seniors' homes. For him, it wasn't about being a hero or earning praise. What mattered was having a reason to get up in the morning. Being needed gave him back something he'd been missing: purpose. And that sense of purpose, however modest, brought a renewed sense of clarity and peace to his life. Purpose is powerful. It calms loneliness, brings structure to your week, and keeps your mind engaged. When you know someone is counting on you, whether it's to help pack food boxes, fix a railing, or simply show up to pour coffee on a chilly morning, you're less likely to fall into the quiet trap of isolation. Support groups do more than just offer company. They offer understanding. They offer listening ears. They often offer small, practical solutions to daily struggles. Whether you're managing a chronic health condition, dealing with grief, or simply finding it hard to adjust to the stillness that can follow retirement, talking to others who truly get it lightens the emotional load in ways that books or podcasts never could. And these connections don't always end when the meeting does. Over time, friendships begin to bloom. Carpools form. Phone calls fill in the quiet hours between errands. You gradually weave a soft web of connection around you, one that doesn't rely on your children's time or energy, but still provides comfort, encouragement, and that all-important feeling of being seen and valued. You don't need to be talkative or outgoing to benefit. Just showing up and quietly listening can be enough. There's no performance required, just presence, in whatever form that feels right to you. And what makes these groups special is that they're reciprocal. You're not just receiving, you're giving too. Your wisdom, your humor, your stories, your calm presence. These are gifts, and for someone else, maybe someone struggling in silence, your presence could be exactly what they needed to feel less alone. These aren't circles of pity, they are circles of strength. They remind you that being needed, being respected, and being connected doesn't fade with age. It simply transforms. Most towns and cities have bulletin boards at libraries, community centers, senior halls, or churches filled with listings for support groups and volunteer opportunities. Start there. Ask questions. Visit once. You don't need a plan, just the willingness to walk through the door. And when you do, you might discover something you weren't even looking for. Not just companionship, but identity. A place where who you are still matters deeply. Where you're not seen as someone's father, someone's patient, or someone's responsibility, but simply as a man among men, living, giving, growing. And that, in itself, can be a quiet but powerful reminder. You are still you. If you're still with us and finding these reflections helpful, please comment the number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you never miss future content. Your support helps us continue creating videos that not only inform, but truly inspire. Let's move on to Pillar 7, faith-based or spiritual communities. For many older men, there comes a moment when the questions begin to change. They're no longer centered on careers, money, or even health. Instead, they quietly shift toward meaning. Why am I still here? What is this chapter of life trying to show me? What do I do with the emotions I was taught to keep to myself? And very often, the answers to those questions don't come from books or plans. They rise from somewhere deeper, from reflection, stillness, and something greater than logic. That's why spiritual or faith-based communities often become more than just sources of comfort. They become lifelines, whether it's a church, mosque, synagogue, temple, or even a quiet meditation group. These places offer more than tradition. They offer rhythm, a gentle heartbeat to anchor your days. They provide a sense of belonging, of being held by something bigger than yourself. And in a stage of life where some things begin to fade, roles, routines, even relationships, this kind of grounding can bring immense healing. And no, you don't have to be deeply religious to find value here. You don't need to have the answers or a perfect record of belief. In fact, many men return to spiritual spaces later in life, not because they feel certain, but because they finally feel ready to ask questions without fear. What you'll find in these communities goes beyond prayer or sermons. It's the weekly gatherings that give shape to your week, the quiet morning reflections that bring calm, the shared meals that remind you what connection tastes like, the seasonal events that mark time in a meaningful way, especially important when you live alone and every day risks blending into the next. And of course, you'll find people who notice when you haven't shown up, people who care enough to ask how you really are, and listen, people who offer a warm hand on your shoulder or a whispered prayer, or simply their presence. And they do it not because they're expected to, but because they're walking the same path. Warren, a 74-year-old retired teacher, found his way back to the church he'd attended as a boy. At first, he sat quietly in the back pews, unsure if he still belonged. But slowly, something shifted. He began to feel seen, not as an old man returning to something familiar, but as a soul still growing, still searching. He told me, coming back wasn't about religion. It was about remembering I was part of something, that I still mattered. Warren later shared that the hardest part wasn't walking through the church doors again. It was realizing just how deeply he had missed being part of something sacred. He said, "It's not the sermons that kept me coming back. It's being seen, being remembered, being prayed for." Spiritual communities often provide more than emotional support. They offer real, tangible help. Things like transportation to appointments, meal deliveries, visits when you're unwell, and even assistance with funeral arrangements. And the people offering this help? They don't see it as an obligation. They see it as a calling, an expression of shared humanity. But maybe the most powerful offering faith provides is space. Space to process the invisible weights many men carry quietly for years. Grief that was never spoken, regret buried under decades of silence, the aching awareness of mortality, and that quiet, almost unspoken longing for peace. Spiritual practices, whether it's prayer, contemplation, serving others, or simply sitting in silence, create the space for those reflections. They won't make the hard things disappear, but they can help you hold them differently. And sometimes, just in that shift, real healing begins. You may not believe all the things you once did. That's okay. Faith isn't fixed. It moves with you, adapts, grows. What matters most isn't strict doctrine. It's belonging. It's having a place where you're not seen as a father or a patient or a problem to solve, but simply as a soul. A person who is still learning, still reaching, still deeply worthy. Whether you find comfort in lighting a candle, reading a meaningful verse, listening to a familiar hymn, or simply sitting shoulder to shoulder with others in quiet reflection, each moment reminds you of something essential, that your life still holds meaning. That these later chapters aren't about fading, they're about deepening. Faith doesn't erase the challenges of aging, but it transforms how you carry them. And when you're held by a spiritual community that walks with you, encourages you, and reminds you of your value, the path ahead can feel not only lighter, but sacred. You've spent decades solving problems, building things from the ground up, fixing what was broken, and being the one others counted on when times got tough. And just because your hair has turned gray, or your joints ache more than they used to, that doesn't mean those skills have disappeared. They haven't. They're still there, as steady and reliable as ever, waiting to be used in ways that bring value and strength to your daily life. Knowing how to cook a simple, nourishing meal, keeping track of your medications, staying on top of appointments, cleaning your home, maintaining personal hygiene. These may seem like small, ordinary acts, but they are the daily rituals that preserve your dignity, your confidence, and your self-respect. They're reminders, subtle but powerful, that you are still in command of your life. Think about something as simple as your morning routine. Waking up, brushing your teeth, stretching for 5 minutes, brewing that familiar cup of coffee, opening the curtains, and maybe turning on your favorite music. These aren't just habits, they're quiet declarations. They say, I'm awake, I'm in control, I'm still living my life, on my terms. There's a rhythm in these moments, and rhythm brings peace. It adds structure to your day and a sense of normalcy when everything else might feel uncertain. And never underestimate the worth of your lifetime of problem-solving experience. Maybe you don't fix leaky roofs anymore or crawl under the sink to fix a pipe. But your ability to adapt, to assess, plan, and move forward is still sharp. You know how to step back, ask the right questions, and take thoughtful action. That mindset is a rare skill. In fact, many younger people are still trying to figure it out. Carl, an 80-year-old who recently downsized into a smaller home, shared something simple but powerful. He didn't bring much furniture with him, but he brought his most valuable tool, a habit he's carried for years. Each morning, he writes out a checklist for the day. It helps him stay focused, stay grounded, and gives him a small sense of victory with every item he checks off. It reminds me I'm still useful, he said. And that belief, that you still have purpose, is often what carries older men through the shifting tides of later life. You may not move as quickly or remember every little thing, but you've developed a deep resilience. You've learned how to navigate life with wisdom. Your habits, hobbies, and routines, they're not just time fillers. They're a form of quiet strength, a kind of armor that protects your spirit and gives meaning to your days. Whether it's tending to a small garden, taking your medications with care, solving a crossword, or shaving slowly in the mirror, each act reinforces a simple truth. You still matter. You are still here. And when you continue to rely on your own skills and systems, you're not just getting through the day, you're proving over and over again that your life still belongs to you. When you build steady habits that support your daily needs, like preparing meals, staying clean, managing medications, you do more than take care of yourself. You ease a burden your children might quietly carry. They no longer have to wonder if you've eaten, if you've remembered to take your pills, or whether you've gotten out of bed that day. You've already taken care of it. That kind of consistency? That's not just helpful. It's love expressed through action. And no, it doesn't mean you must do everything alone. It means doing what you can with quiet confidence and grace. It means approaching each day with a sense of purpose, a rhythm that gives your life shape and direction. And when help is needed, you don't ask because you're helpless. You ask because you've already done the work. You've laid the foundation. The request is not a rescue call, it's a collaboration. In a world that often rushes in with answers, quick fixes, and the assumption that aging equals incapability, sometimes the most powerful truth is the one you already hold. You've made it this far by solving problems, adapting, and pressing forward. You've faced hardships most people haven't even imagined, and you've emerged wiser, steadier, more grounded. Trust that. Lean on that. Let that quiet, earned wisdom walk beside you every day. It will carry you through with more strength than you might expect. As we draw this video to a close, I want to leave you with something simple but powerful. You are not helpless. You are not by default dependent. And your future is not confined to resting solely on the shoulders of your children. In fact, you possess more options, more capability, and more internal resources than you may have ever given yourself credit for. Your savings, your systems, your relationships, and your faith, these aren't backup plans. They are lifelines. They are pillars that uphold your dignity, your autonomy, and your peace of mind. Take a moment to pause and reflect. Which of these 8 pillars resonated most deeply with you? which ones already support your daily life, and which ones might still need to be built, one small step at a time. Maybe you've spent decades pouring your energy into others, your job, your children, your community. Now it's your turn. Not to become distant or self-centered, but to nurture your own well-being with the same care you've shown others. Because here's something truly powerful. When you lean on stable, healthy systems beyond your children, something shifts in your relationship with them. The pressure eases, the air clears, there's less tension, fewer unspoken expectations, and far more room for genuine laughter, deeper connection, and unconditional love. Your children weren't born to become your retirement plan. They came into your life to be nurtured, guided, and eventually released to forge their own path. That's not abandonment. That's the natural rhythm of life. And you? You still have stories to tell, choices to make, and a legacy to shape. You're not done. Not by a long shot. So don't hand over your independence out of routine or fear. Reclaim it. Build a life that stands on strong footing, one that is grounded, supported, and intentionally self-directed. You are not a burden. You are a man who has weathered storms, solved problems, and adapted more times than anyone can count. These 8 pillars, they are your evidence, your foundation, your future. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and tell us one insight you're taking with you and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your stories matter, and we truly value your voice. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. Wishing you strength, happiness, and peace on your journey, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more. Take care and stay well.